Team Europe ready to go. They've been looking pretty relaxed up there on the stage, but it is going to be this man, son of Jor-El, as he's known on the PBA. For those of you that know your comic books, that basically equates to Superman. Chris Barnes to get things underway. And throws a lovely strike first up. I guess just what we'd expect from the Team USA captain. Cass Edwards, former Great Britain international, alongside me. I know you're looking forward to this one, Cass. That rather whets the appetite, doesn't it? But how do you see both these teams coming into this contest?
Simon, I actually think they're pretty equal on paper. All of these guys, all 8 bowlers, play on the PBA Tour in the United States, which is the highest level of bowling throughout the world. They're all friends with one another. And here we see Mika Koivuniemi, the European captain, stepping up for the first ball of his tournament.
Leaves a pretty solid 10 there. Slightly frustrating for Major Mika, the Finnish captain of this European team. Let's see what happened here.
Well, it's pretty much in the right place, but at all.
So takes out the spare. A little shake of the head from Mika. But smiles all around still from Team Europe. They're the ones that have been laughing and joking up there on the stage.
Certainly one of the strongest we've seen for a long time, yeah. The new man's in, and we'll see him very shortly. But we know this guy here from many years back in the Weber, Mr. 300, Tommy Jones. He can't shoot a 300 in this one, but he can certainly shoot a strike to start with. How about that?
Well, is that an omen? No luck for Mika, but plenty for TJ. Gets a messenger right across here for a very late takedown on the 10.
Yeah, certainly using the whole width of the lane. That ball got right out to the outside boards.
Stars now of this European setup. Dominic Barrett came into the team as a youngster, but my goodness me, has played brilliantly over the years. And another solid 10. It's catching, I'm afraid, for Team Europe.
Yeah, and of course you can see on the scores there, the USA with 2 strikes are still on for a maximum 300 game, Baker game, whereas the Europeans have already slipped down to a 279. Ooh, and that'll go down even less.
Well, that's frustration. A missed spare. You sometimes see this, but not often from a player of Dominic Barrett's quality. Gibson will offer a selection of oiling patterns to the captains, and they will get to pick alternate patterns. And Mika Koivuniemi is the man that has picked this particular oil. And unfortunately, not going well for him. It's working for the opposition at the moment. What are the components of this particular pattern, Cass?
Well, there's an awful lot of oil in the middle of the lane, so you will see the guys bowling their ball. It will get to the outside boards, outside second arrow. That's when it will snap back at about 41 feet.
Fourth man in the European team, Martin Larsson, debuted last year, did a very good job and picks up a strike just to steady the ship. But it's been 3 strikes so far for the USA.
There we see Martin's shot right in the 1-3 pocket, carries all 10 pins. Great looking shot, but unfortunately Dom Barrett, who is actually currently... So there's a lot of work for Team Europe to do, and this is the debutant for Team USA, Big Wes Merlot.
Oh, and the Big Nasty, as he's known on the PBA, leaves the ring in 10. So not the most auspicious of debut throws for Big Wes.
Yeah, starts the ball deep inside, gets to the outside boards, maybe just a fraction light in the pocket, rings the 10 pin, and as you can see, the Team USA score drops to 279 if they can strike off. Now very nicely for a spare. Good start for the new boy.
Stuart Williams steps up. The first Englishman to triumph on the PBA, followed shortly by Dom Barrett, Cass.
It was a great year then, and oh dear, look, another 10 pin in the corner. They're not quite making the pocket right, and that's why the 10 pin's standing up. The 6 pins bouncing around it. So this can only be a score of 2-4.
It was a magnificent start for Team Europe in the Baker, and I'm afraid it's an abject start this time around. Another missed spare, this time into the channel.
Yes, that's pretty ridiculous, really, because all these guys had pre-TV practice, and you can tell by Stu's face that he's not a happy man with that. Can't quite understand it. Going back to what you were saying, Simon, yeah, last year 2:57 was the opening Baker game for Team Europe. Something they, by tradition, don't normally win, but last year was something exceptional. And out of the 5 Baker games, they managed to win 4 of them. So they got off to a flying start at this stage. And unfortunately, 2 single-pin misses by the 4th Team Europe.
That's going to be tough to recover from. Little slip from Chris Barnes there at the delivery line, but takes out that 8-pin. Has famously left an 8 on a couple of occasions, actually, when he was in a winning position.
Hard and straight with the spare ball.
Strikes or nothing, you'd have to say from here. Mika Koivuniemi then to try and start the pins falling. Yes, great shot. Lovely stuff from the man that they call Moose over in Europe, but he's known as Major Mika on the PBA Tour because he started his PBA wins with a major title. But as you can see, Team Europe already in a bit of bother in this first match. Team USA lead 268 to Team Europe's 236 max. Hushed response from the audience at the moment, predominantly European fans. But the team in the red, white and blue have made the best possible start. Team USA holding it together nicely. TJ, Tommy Jones, Mr. 300 as he's known. Unfortunately leaving a 10, and if any pin is going to stand at the moment by the looks on this particular oil pattern, it is
lays in the gutter. So we'll be looking for a spare here from Tommy Jones. That's hard and straight, and that's showing the European guys how to spare a 10-pin.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? We've seen 2 open frames from Team Europe, and both on missed 10 pins from Barrett and Williams.
The onus is very much on the Europeans to cover those 2 9 misses with lots of strikes. And although that looked as though it was going to be one, Simon, it certainly wasn't. Another 10-pin in the corner stands up quite
really do love it here in the Metrodome, the Weber Cup, and such a superb response, time in, time out from the fans.
Well, Donker managed to spare it that time, yet 1 finger up, so that's 1 out of 2, 50% on that single 10-pin. You can see, hard and straight, looking for no hook, got the angle right and covered the 10-pin nicely.
And the appropriate reaction. Pretty relaxed. Just have to cast your mind back to last year. They took the first game of the evening, ended up in a terrible session, really, 5-1 down. That was the only score they made. The real deal then, as he's known, Bill O'Neill straight through the head pin. That hooked up badly on him, and he hasn't taken care of the transition here.
Yeah, no, he's inside his mark by some considerable distance. The ball is hooked, obviously, but it's gone high through the head pin and it's left the 3, the 6 out, and he's shot out for this one and run the ball down the line.
Oh, and if Team Europe had managed to start putting those strikes together, then Team USA would have been in a bit of trouble here. Their first open frame. He knew this wasn't going to make it.
Well, you could see the ball actually aquaplaned across to the right, didn't he? He started it in the centre of the lane where that heavy build-up of oil is, and it drifted off to the right and just kept going. The angle was wrong and missed the front pin, the 3-pin.
This is the man that can hold his head high after the first round of bowling. Strike for Martin Larsson, and unfortunately for him, just got a little wide. Didn't make it back up the hill to the pocket with any impetus. Very tough to sit down for such a long period of time, then step up and try and make the shot. So a spare here to keep Europe in the hunt. Nicely done.
Yeah, but you can see the difference in the scores. Look at that. 29 pins difference with just 3 frames to go. It's going to be difficult for Europe to pull this one back. And it may well be already that looks as though the first point of this year's Weber Cup.
Well, it has to be an error, doesn't
it? Stay
it?
clean, really. Spares and or strikes.
Malott. 10-pin spare in the first round, followed by a strike. So Wes Malott stamps his mark on Weber Cup 15.
And just look at the rotation on this ball. Gets out to that down lane marker at about 42 feet and just turns left and rips the rack, and he likes that one. It's a great looking, which is actually what they try and do, Simon. They try and groove a little dry patch through the oil so that their teammates can get in there and get lots of reaction in the back end.
Nice work. Very laconic style has Stuart Williams. And a good effort from him to get the strike. Chris Barnes then to set up a chance in the first game, and well, that was one of the errors we were talking about. Just a little experiment there, going a touch wider, and I'm afraid he's paid the price. Look at this stay out in that heavy oil.
I'm not quite sure that was an experiment. I think that was more of an error. And how lucky he is to get rid of that 10-pin. Look at that. He's missed the head pin totally on the right.
That's beautifully taken out by Barnes, a long stare down the lane. But 213, 204, the potential maximums now. This one getting a little too close for comfort for Team USA. It's not over yet.
Strike on his last shot.
Yeah, nicely done. And the Moose is in. The Hoose. Great stuff from Mika. Just lofting that ball out a little further this time.
Well, the important thing, it's 2 strikes in a row. It is a double for the Europeans. And yeah, just a fraction high on the head pin. Converted that little split, doing his Moose actions. Strike favourite with the fans.
Yeah, Tommy Jones will want to strike this off the card just to give them a little bit of insurance. Always high through the head pin as well. That's hooked up, just like Bill O'Neill's shot.
Well, look, their maximums dropped to 200 with that 7-pin count, and he has to make a spare and a strike to get that 200. So it leaves Dom Barrett the opportunity.
Told you, Cass, you've got to believe.
Well, there's the spare, so he's earned himself the bonus ball in the 10th frame. It can only be a 200 though, which is a below par.
So TJ to finish things off. I don't know if you saw that last team shot, but Bill O'Neill beating himself up a little bit, I think, on the bench. He's not going to take the maximum from it, so this is set up for Dominic Barrett to sneak in here and steal a point for Team Europe.
Well, certainly a below par shot for Tommy Jones there. There was quite a bit of oil on the outside of the lane, and that didn't get back either. So PBA World Champion Dom Barrett knows exactly what he's got to do.
Just composing himself.
Well, he's not had a strike yet. Needs to be good.
Oh, yes, rips into that pocket with loads of action. Good start.
It's the first one. Yeah, great looking shot. He's got to do it again.
So a strike and 3 to make it 1-0 Team Europe, and Team USA suddenly looking very, very serious.
Yeah, well, they had an open frame from Bill O'Neill and then a low count from Tommy Jones in the last.
Oh, no! Messenger doesn't get across to the 10-pin, and that's what this sport at the big end, the big money end, is all about. It's about finishing matches off. And Dom Barrett takes out the spare, but Team Europe's score drops down to 193. They've rather let the Americans off the hook here in the opening game of Weber Cup 15. Still a long way to go in this first session, but Team USA get away with it and put the first point on the board. They lead Team Europe by 1-0 at Weber Cup 15.